In 2021, I have a really tough decision on my hands. What driver is going to go into my golf bag? Now, I'm in the very fortunate position that I'm able to test out pretty much any driver that comes onto the market. And in years gone by, I've usually fallen in love with something pretty quickly. But this year, I'm really stumped because pretty much every driver I've tested so far has been fantastic. The performance on offer, sound, feel, looks. So I thought I would take 5 of my favourites out on the golf course today. The Titleist TSi3, Cobra RADSPEED, Ping G425 LST, Callaway Epic MAX LS and TaylorMade SIM2. And I thought I'd try and figure out which one will be going in my bag this year. First off though, before I run into everything, if you're new to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up if you enjoy this video, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. First up we have the RADSPEED. Now, I think it's fair to say over the last few years Cobra have produced some really good drivers. The F9 speed back, the speed zone, really good all-round performers, but perhaps the main reason why they proved so popular with golfers was the price that you paid. You know, at 349 RRP they were significantly cheaper than some of the other brands out in the market and the other brands I'm testing today. And thankfully for 2021, you know, the RADSPEED still comes in at a great price point, you know, quite a bit cheaper than the other options in my bag today. And yeah, just such good value for money. With the RADSPEED, you know, it's an all-round performer. For me, you know, it delivers the kind of low spin, sort of high launch characteristics to give me maximum distance. I like the fact we have the interchangeable weight, so you know, you can just adjust your spin and launch to suit your needs. We still have, you know, high MOI, that speed back kind of shape to it. You know, we're pushing weight low and far back to try and get forgiveness, but also some close to the face to try and get you more ball speed, lower spin. So it really is a bit of an all-rounder. You know, I think the matte black carbon crown, it just looks absolutely fantastic. It's packed with technology, CNC milled infinity face, you know, carbon fibre all over this golf club, the radial weighting, it's packed to the rafters with technology. The things I'm maybe not too keen on, the name for one, RADSPEED, okay, it's called that because of the main technology within these drivers, radial weighting, but you know, it does just sound a little bit silly. You know, I think the bright neon yellow, neon green colourway, again, just not to my liking, but it's a Cobra driver, it should be a bit bold. So, you know, it ticks that box for fans of Cobra drivers. Down behind the ball, the RADSPEED, it sets up really square, you know, really easy to align with that CNC infinity face coming up onto the crown. Personally, it's something that I'm just not too keen on. Visually, it's just not suiting my eye. You know, I'm not used to seeing this, but I'm sure, you know, if you put this driver in the bag, you would get used to it pretty quickly. And as I say, it really does make alignment very easy. We've got quite a shallow face with the RADSPEED, which for some of you might just make it look a little bit less, you know, visually forgiving, a little bit less confidence inspiring. But, you know, with the matte black carbon crown, you know, it's a good looking driver. You've got some nice colour pops, you know, Cobra should be a bit bold, a bit brash. What else? I think just for me personally, it's a little bit loud when it comes to the sound and feel. You know, I like a duller sound down at impact. But in terms of overall performance, you know, there's no way around it. I can't fault it in any way, shape or form. Plus, considering, you know, the fact that it is quite a bit cheaper than the other options, just such brilliant value for money. So yeah, thumbs up for the RADSPEED. Next up, the Titleist TSi3. Now, I've had this in my bag since it was released back in, what, September, October time. I just love everything about it, the classic look and feel of it, just think it's sensational. Performance, really top notch, great speed, really consistent launch conditions, especially when this hits high and low in the face, just really solid performer. Yeah, it just looks brilliant, good levels of adjustability. You know, we've got that back weight there so you can adjust, you've got the sure fit hosel, so you can dial this driver in quite a bit. Down behind the ball, the TSi just looks sensational. It looks like an old school Titleist driver, something from 10, 15 years ago. You know, relatively compact, traditional pear shape, sweeps off towards the toe and back at the heel, you know, sits just a fraction open, which I love to see. And yeah, it just looks sensational. That all black crown, and yeah, just a real classic look to this thing. Love the flight as well, just penetrating trajectory, the kind of thing I like to see. Sounds great, sounds like an old school Titleist driver. You know, all titanium construction, so certainly a different sound and feel compared to some of the other drivers in this test today. It's just, yeah, it's a little bit of old school and I love it. I think probably where it might stop some of you looking towards a TSi is the price. You know, it is the most expensive of the 5 drivers I'm testing today. The recommended retail price is $519, so you know that might just be a little bit too much money for some of you. Also, you know, if I really start to nitpick, you know, if I'm having a really off day with my driver, I just feel like it's maybe not the most forgiving of the drivers I've got in my bag today from heel to toe. You know, if I'm really quite wild, you know, catching it well out the toe, well out the heel, I feel like this probably punishes me just a wee bit more than some of the other options. But, you know, in terms of high and low mishits, it's probably one of the most consistent. So, you know, as I say, I'm nitpicking there, but it's been in my bag since, you know, September, October time. I've loved using it. And will it be replaced by something else? Who knows? We'll wait until we get to the end of the video. But, you know, just brilliant all-round performance, looks and feels sensational. Top-notch work from Titleist. Now on to the SIM2, and this thing is absolutely packed with technology. TaylorMade, they actually reinvented the way they construct their drivers when designing this thing. And for me, the standout feature is the level of forgiveness on offer. Now, in the last couple of years, the M5 and the Sim, they were the drivers I like best from TaylorMade's lineup. Really powerful, really long, really fast. However, I did feel as though they just lacked a little bit in terms of forgiveness. However, now with the SIM2, you know, that's not an issue at all. We've got so much weight low and back in the club heads. It's so easy to hit, so high launching. You know, if you then go to the Sim Max model, even easier to hit. But yeah, it's just a level of forgiveness that I think TaylorMade's kind of headline drivers have maybe just lacked a little over the last few years, so it's good to see that. The SIM2, it's a very modern, TaylorMade looking driver. You know, you've got that black carbon fibre crown, the wee slim chalk white section towards the leading edge, you know, that blue aluminium ring towards the back section. You know, for fans of TaylorMade drivers, you're going to love the look of this thing. You know, as I say, very modern look to it. Sets up really nicely behind the ball. You know, I like the fact we don't have the speed injection ports on the face anymore. We've just got one on the toe. It's just a wee subtle visual change that I'm a fan of. And yeah, you know, it looks like a TaylorMade driver. Looks are one thing, but there's another reason why I'm a big fan of the SIM2. And it's that, the sound and feel. This is, in my opinion anyway, the best sounding driver for 2021. I've absolutely gunned that. It's right at the middle, and it just has that low, crunchy sound to it. I just think it sounds fantastic. You know, you can kind of tell that the Titleist has a lot of, it's an all titanium construction, and you can tell how much carbon fibre is in the SIM2. Just the difference in the frequencies, the pitch, you know, absolutely fantastic sound. Really good, solid crunch. Yeah, absolutely love the sound of this thing. Some of you might be a little bit disappointed that we don't have any adjustability features on the sole. You know, that is something that was there on the M5, it was there on the Sim, but the result of, you know, not having that adjustable weight means that you are getting more forgiveness. More weight is then placed in that big back weight. And for me, that's really what's important, because how often do you honestly adjust your driver once you've purchased it? Once you've had it custom fitted, I'm guessing like me, pretty much never. So, you know, we don't have any adjustability, but the result is, and also the result of their new construction methods, more forgiveness, but the same great speed and distance that TaylorMade drivers have delivered over the last few years. Now for the G425 LST, and I could sum this driver up in 3 words: predictable but brilliant. With Ping, you know what you're going to get. They aren't going to try and reinvent the wheel when they bring out new drivers. Instead, you know, they stick to their tried and tested principles. They're really good at engineering drivers. They've got good technologies, and they just build on them little by little. They eke out more performance across the board, and the results then speak for themselves. I think that's why Ping drivers, they always prove so popular, because yeah, they're just quality drivers. Now with the G425, and especially the Max model, you know, the most forgiving driver I've ever tested. If I'm looking for a fairway finder, that's what I would go with. The LST model, you know, a little bit lower spinning, suits my game perfectly, but yeah, it's hardly any less of a fairway finder. It's just ridiculously forgiving. Honestly, spray it anywhere across the face, and the chance of you still finding your ball, you know, in the short stuff are pretty high. So, if, you know, I think if I was being smart, this might make it in my bag, because it's so easy to hit. Doesn't really sacrifice in any way, shape or form in terms of distance. But there are 2 key reasons why it probably won't make it in my bag. And firstly, it's this, the turbulators down at address. Now, I've just never been that big a fan of them. You know, it just doesn't suit my eye. Yes, I know why they're there, better aerodynamics, try and give you some free club head speed for more distance. Yeah, they frame the ball quite nicely, you know, good for alignment, but they just don't suit my eye. I've never been that keen on them. And yeah, it's just one thing that holds ping drivers back, in my opinion. The second is coming right up. And it's the sound. It's just a little bit too loud for my liking. You know, it has a little bit of a hollow sound to it. And yeah, just small little details. You know, as I said earlier, you know, in terms of performance, this is, you know, one of, if not the most forgiving of the 5 drivers I'm testing today, especially even the Max model, its bigger brother. You know, the most forgiving driver I've ever tested. Ping, such good performers, really consistent, really user-friendly. You know, if I wanted a fairway finder, I would probably end up going with a Ping. However, you know, just those turbulators and the way it sounds, they're just really not to my liking. And if I'm using this driver day in, day out, I want something I really like the look of down at address, and I want the sound to be spot on. Last but by no means least, the Epic MAX LS. Now, in the last couple of years, I've used Callaway drivers, the Epic Flash Sub-Zero and the Maverick Sub-Zero. Loved those things. They just ticked every single box. Great all-round performance, looked brilliant, sounded really good. They were just ideal for me. You know, I fell in love with them pretty quickly. With the Epic MAX LS, pretty much the same story. You know, I think it looks really smart down at address. Getting the kind of ridiculous ball speed you expect of a Callaway driver, really consistent off the face. You know, their speed frame and flash face technologies, they just combine really well, make them very consistent. Now, something I've loved about Callaway drivers over the last couple of years is the look down at address. That's one of the big reasons why I had the Epic Flash Sub-Zero and the Maverick Sub-Zero in my bag. With the Epic MAX LS, the low spin option within the lineup, we don't have a Sub-Zero model. We have a different look to it. You know, it's a little bit more of a modern shape, more drawn out towards the rear, larger footprint, but it doesn't mean I don't like it. I still think it looks smart. You know, it's nice and clean on top. I think it sets up really square. You know, it's built with a little bit of fade bias into it, and yeah, it looks great, and I think probably a little bit more confidence inspiring than the Sub-Zero models of the last couple of years. Also sounds really good, somewhere in between the TSi3 and the SIM in my opinion. And yeah, the ball flight, just absolutely ideal. It ticks every single box. It's a Callaway driver. I've really liked them over the last few years, and it's no different with the Epic MAX LS. The only thing that I don't like is the colour scheme, and that was the same, you know, with both of those Callaway drivers that I previously had. So that's why I would once again go down the route of Callaway Customs, get the colour scheme I want. Let's now take a look at the numbers I got earlier on today with my SkyTrack launch monitor using Pro V1 golf balls. Now, I tested each of these 5 drivers plenty over the last few weeks and months, and today, you know, I just decided to get a quick snapshot of the numbers, and it isn't surprising to see them all so closely matched. As you can see, you know, there really isn't a great deal of difference. Ball speeds are all very similar, launch angles, you know, all in the kind of area I want to be, in between 11.5 and 13.5 degrees. I just think that's ideal. It's the kind of ball flight I like to see. Spin rates all between 2,100 and 2,400, all carrying over 270, all round about the 300-yard mark for total distance. And you know, this is really a snapshot. I hit 15 balls with each, and you know, on another day, they'll just be as close to match. There might be some differences in the numbers, but you know, they're all doing very similar things. I think that's why it's so difficult this year to pick a winner, because they're all so closely matched during my launch monitor testing. It's really hard to pick a winner, so that's why you need to go into more the nitty-gritty details. Why you like a driver, you know, things like looks, feel, how you feel with it out on the golf course, the confidence it gives you. And yeah, so the numbers just show that they're all absolutely fantastic performers. You know, if you go and get custom fitted for any one of these drivers, I've got no doubt they're going to deliver fantastic all-round performance. So it's decision time, and at the outset I said it was going to be very tough for me. All 5 of these drivers, they're so closely matched. You know, if I was going on performance, there's really hardly anything to separate them. But we pull in everything, you know, my personal preferences on looks and feel, what I like to see out in the golf course, I'm going with the TSi3. I just love the classic look of this thing down at address. I love the feel of impact, the kind of ball flight it delivers for me, the consistency on high and low miss hits. It just seems to suit me perfectly. It gives me confidence on the tee, and that's what it's all about, getting some confidence so that you can step up and try and stripe your driver, try and get good distance, try and find some fairways. But as I say, you know, that's pulling in my personal preferences. All 5 are so closely matched. Some of the things I've said in this video you might disagree with. You might think, nah, the classic look and feel of the TSi, it's not for me. I want more the modern feel of the SIM2, that modern look. Or maybe you think the turbulators and feel of the Ping driver are absolutely superb. Yeah, you know, these are my personal preferences. So my advice is, go and try these drivers for yourself. No matter which one you go for, it's going to deliver great performance. Just find the one that really suits your eye the best, the one you like the look of, the feel of, the kind of ball flight. And then of course get custom fitted, because if you do get one of these drivers, if you do get custom fitted, I'm sure you'll walk away a very happy customer. And yeah, just hopefully this video has given you a good idea, a good insight into what these drivers have to offer in 2021. As I said, spoiled for choice. There's so many great options. But if you have any questions about any of the drivers, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and thank you very much for watching.